In Louisville on a Friday night. 4 years ago, we witnessed the launch party of a Louisville legend.
What a hurdle by Jackson! Highlight reel touchdown!
Lamar Jackson's Heisman campaign took off that night in front of a national audience. 2 years later, fortunes flipped. Eric Dungy in Syracuse brought a house of cards crumbling down.
Tumultuous week for this Louisville program. The dismissal of Bobby Petrino.
Tonight, we find out what this Friday has in store. It's the Cuse and the Ville. Next. ESPN College Football brought to you by Ram Trucks. Louisville, Kentucky, the setting. It's an ACC showdown between the Orange and the Cards. A couple of teams looking to slay their demons and conjure their dragons on this Friday night. And Shroff alongside Tom Luganville. Katie George will be with us momentarily. It's going to sound like a cop-out. You lose all credibility when you say turnovers are the key to the game. So I'm going to let you say it.
I'll give you the cliche. The most important thing in football is the ball. When you take a look at how these two teams have played this season out so far, Louisville minus 12 in turnover margin. I think without that turnover number, they're 6-2, 5-3 at worst. In Syracuse, 17 takeaways, second most in all of college football, but haven't been able to capitalize on the offensive side of the football. So Anish, whoever keeps the ball likely wins the game.
It's that simple. For Louisville, Javian Hawkins, their star running back, one of the best in the ACC, opted out this past Monday, so he's gone. The good news is Tutu Atwell, who did not play last week against Virginia, is back from injury. He's their best wide receiver and one of the best in the ACC. And Katie, what does Tutu's return mean for this Cardinals team?
Well, it means Malik Cunningham gets his #1 receiver back. I spoke with Tutu Atwell just about an hour ago during warmups. He said he's thrilled to be back on this field with his teammates, and he's ready to help in any way possible. Malik Cunningham told me he was the happiest man alive when he found out Tutu was cleared to play in tonight's game. He's his guy. Just having him out on the field puts Cunningham at ease, gives him some added confidence in the pocket. So this Louisville offense certainly getting some extra juice coming into this one. Kickoff between Louisville and Syracuse here at Cardinal Stadium. Just moments away when we step away for a few messages.
ESPN College Football, presented by Ram, is brought to you by Duluth Trading Company. Tough and genius workwear designed and tested by tradesmen.
You're watching the ACC on ESPN. Cardinal Stadium, the setting. Louisville and Syracuse both looking for their second conference win. Short turnaround for Louisville, which just played this past Saturday. Syracuse coming off a bye, and that means Dino Babers had a little extra time with his true freshman quarterback, who we're about to see.
Well, he's got to get him ready. And with true freshmen, it's not always about how talented you are. It's about what you know.
Louisville won the toss. They defer. And Nykeem Johnson from inside his own 5. Across the 20, out close to the 30-yard line, and we do get to see Jacobian Montreal Morgan, true freshman from the small town of Canton, Mississippi. This just his second career start. He has a chance now over these last few games to make a case for 2021 and beyond as the quarterback of the future at Syracuse.
He sure does, and he needs to become a sponge. And what I mean by that, he's got to study the game. He's got to learn the theory of the game. Again, very athletic. They're excited about him, but they've had to work with him an awful lot these last 2 weeks. We'll dive into a little bit of that as we go along tonight.
Low snap, and Morgan is dropped right at the line of scrimmage. Yasir Abdullah, who had a career-high 10 tackles last week. Louisville defensively finally at full strength. Replenished on the D-line. Isaiah Hayes, their free safety, starting. This was a team that was a mess defensively with a bunch of players injured and unavailable the last 2 weeks.
Well, and to get Diaby and Tavarius Peterson along the front back could really pay off here tonight.
On 2nd and 10, Morgan to the air. Dangerous throw, and he's got Anthony Quealy, who's led the Orange in receptions in 3 of the last 4 games. And now it's third down for Syracuse, and that has been a problem down all season long.
It's been a huge, huge problem. They haven't had more than 5 third down conversions in a single game all year long. You look at the percentage, but at least they're in somewhat of a manageable line to gain here. So understand where you're at. If you're the quarterback, you're backed up. You got to be careful with the football.
Morgan cannot escape, and he's taken down. Jared Goldwire, the big 6'6" senior out of Tacoma, and 3 and out go the Orange.
Well, this has really been the problem for the Syracuse Orangemen all year long, or the Orange, I should say. They're not the Orangemen anymore. They just haven't been able to hold up. They haven't had any consistency in terms of their lineup, and they've had to play a lot of inexperienced guys. In fact, Chris Elmore, number 63, their left guard, is a converted fullback and former defensive lineman. That's how dire things are up front.
And Nolan Cooney to punt it away. That punter position has been a glamour position at Syracuse of late. And this one rolls out of bounds near the 30-yard line. Malik Cunningham, the starting quarterback for Louisville, happy to get Tutu Atwell back. As Katie told you before the game, last week Cunningham ran for 197 yards against Virginia. Only one quarterback in school history has rushed for more yards in a game, and that was Lamar Jackson.
Well, a week ago, he was the offense in every way, shape, or form. And the unfortunate part of it is when they got into the fourth quarter with a chance to pull away and win the game versus Virginia, he was part of the turnover problem. And that's got to come to an end for Louisville to be successful tonight.
On first down, it's Maurice Berkeley, the former walk-on, dropped in the backfield for a loss. We told you Javian Hawkins, one of the top running backs in the ACC, opted out on Monday. So you'll see Berkeley, you'll see some of Jalen Mitchell, but Louisville gets Hassan Hall back, and we'll see Hall later on. He's missed the last 3 games with injury and a death in the family.
And getting him back is critical because he's the closest to what they lost in Javian Hawkins in terms of skill set.
On the fly sweep, it's Jordan Watkins, and he's upended by Amon Greenwood. It sets up 3rd and 9. Watkins, a true freshman and a track star, expected to see more time today.
You know, one of the things that Louisville had been accustomed to doing when they were at full strength, they had Javian Hawkins, had Tutu Atwell, and Des Fitzpatrick, is just line up and beat people because their skill was better. Now they got to get more creative moving the football, not overly successful on the first 2 downs.
Berkeley stays in there on 3rd and 9. Cunningham with time and fires a strike. It's Watkins, just his 3rd catch of the season, and a first down for Louisville against what is a very young Syracuse defense.
A young but pretty talented Syracuse defense, and this is just a remarkable job right there of Jordan Watkins coming back to the football, showing his chest to the quarterback and attacking the football at its highest point. Huge conversion on 3rd and 9, and you referenced Syracuse on defense. Very, very young, but some of their youngest players are their best players right now.
Last week against Boston College, Syracuse started 5 freshmen on defense. First time in school history that happened. Bouncing to the outside is Jalen Mitchell, who flashed last week in his first extended action of the season. 7 carries, 76 yards against Virginia.
It gives you a little bit more wiggle than Maurice Berkeley does. Maurice Berkeley's more of a downhill runner. And you look at the 6 freshman starters tonight for Syracuse on defense. They have their hands full with some of this Louisville skill, and especially in the passing game downfield. We'll highlight some of those guys, particularly in the back end.
Here's Cunningham, so dangerous when he gets to the outside. He'll heave it downfield, and it's incomplete. Good coverage by Greenwood. Pass intended for Tutu Atwell, 3rd and 6.
Atwell really just got run out of bounds down the sideline right there. Really nice job by Syracuse, and their 2 young corners are really talented. This time it's Amon Greenwood, number 26, and he uses the sideline as his 12th man. Louisville loves the naked bootleg and the play action pass off of that. Let's see what they dial up here on 3rd and 6.
Syracuse bringing pressure. Screen pass caught by Mitchell in Syracuse territory and driven out of bounds close to the 40-yard line by Jeff Canton-Arku. Another first down for the Ville.
Really good job of identification to the left from Malik Cunningham there, realizing that they're going to have an unblocked defender in his face and getting the ball quickly to 15. That's 2 critical third down conversions and a really nice drive early on for this offense for Louisville to get into rhythm. Again, they've been their own worst enemy with turnovers. It hasn't been a lack of execution and production when they protect the football.
Out of that 12 personnel look, 1 running back, 2 tight ends. Mitchell fighting through that defense for about 4. Louisville without a key piece tonight on its offense. That's tight end Marshawn Ford, number 83. He's on the sideline, so we've seen Ian Pfeiffer and Isaac Martin early on in that 2 tight end set. Ford watching this one as he'll sit it out.
Yeah, they're really excited about him, and they love the 11 and 12 personnel on the field as often as they can get it. That's a big blow losing 83, particularly in the passing game.
On 2nd and 6, play action. Cunningham rolling to his right. And shoved out of bounds by the freshman safety Jihad Carter. 3rd and short.
Dwayne Ledford, the offensive coordinator at Louisville, when he implements the naked and the bootleg stuff, he's telling Malik Cunningham, hey, this is a RPO for you. We're giving you the opportunity. If you like what you see, go ahead and throw it. If not, use your athleticism. Get positive yardage. A really good display right there of a good decision by the quarterback.
Cunningham at times this season has flashed brilliance. His struggles have come in protecting the football.
Absolutely.
That's been the issue this year.
No doubt.
On 3rd and 1. Cunningham off his back foot downfield, and he overshot Braden Smith. 4th and 1. An early decision for Scott Satterfield against the worst run defense in the ACC. Do you go for it?
I would go for it, and it doesn't look like they're going to right here. And I think this is an opportunity to impose your will, prove you're the better team. It's early, you're in plus territory, but they're going to settle for 3 here.
It looked like Malik Cunningham was trying to plead his case. James Turner on for a field goal attempt. This would be a career long from 50. And the kick is good. The longest field goal of James Turner's career gives Louisville the early lead. You're watching college football on ESPN, presented by Ram Trucks. It has been a trying season for Dino Babers and Syracuse with opt-outs and injuries. Offensive line has been thinned out. They're down to their 5th string running back. Sean Tucker's been starting. Top 2 running backs opted out. Another got hurt.
2 all-conference defensive backs as well. Future NFLers.
Well, here's the list of all the guys that opted out. You mentioned the DBs, Cisco and Trill Williams.
Yep.
You add those 2 to Garrett Williams and Ife Melifonwu, you're looking at one of the best secondaries in all of college football.
There's no question. And, you know, when you talk to Tony White, the defensive coordinator for Syracuse, he said, listen, when we got into the game planning with all of this, I did a disservice to our defense because I didn't think our young guys could do what Williams and Cisco were able to do. And he found out that he just needed to turn them loose on defense, and that's why they've grown on that side of the ball.
First carry of the game for Sean Tucker, and you can see why Syracuse is excited about the freshman out of Maryland.
Another one of those guys that Dino and his staff have recruited, and it's important to note as we see some tempo here.
And there's Tucker again, maneuvering his way close to the 40. You can use that tempo when you get first down.
Absolutely. In fact, that's what drives tempo in football in today's climate. Going back to Tucker here real quick, sometimes when you have the injuries, the opt-outs, and you're really thin, you find out about some of your freshmen that you didn't plan on playing, and now they have found a back of the future because some of those things were occurring early. It's a silver lining.
Morgan looking for Tucker out of the backfield, incomplete. And another 3rd down for Syracuse. That's a good sign for the Orange. Early reps for Dakota Davis, who's been working his way back from injury. on what's already a depleted offensive line.
Yeah, it has just been a bunch of puzzle pieces that don't fit together the entire year for Syracuse. Really smoke and mirrors along the front, just trying to come up with something that is competent in the run and pass game to help this team move the football.
Among teams that have played at least 4 games, only Kansas is worse than Syracuse on third downs. Morgan nearly intercepted. He wanted Quealy. And Rajay Burns, if he catches that, has 6 the other way.
Yeah, and Jacoby Morgan is just not comfortable right now. You can see it, and Louisville defensively is doing an awful lot up front to create some confusion with their alignment. Some simulated pressures, walking guys up into the gap, and really Syracuse is unsure of who's coming from where.
A young quarterback, a defense trying to confuse him and show him different looks.
And a struggling offensive line.
Nolan Cooney on to punt it away. Burns fields the grounder and tackled inside the 20. Louisville back on offense when we return.
ESPN College Football is presented by Ram, built to serve, and in part by Samsung QLED TV, the official TV of ESPN College Football.
A proud tradition of black quarterbacks at Syracuse. McNabb, Don McPherson, Marvin Graves. You go all the way back to Wilmette Siddhat Singh, who's got a great story. Joined the Tuskegee Airmen, played basketball for the Harlem Renaissance, and had his life cut short too early on a training mission over Lake Huron. Louisville ball. And on first down, the handoff is to Jalen Mitchell. Powers across the 35-yard line. He has shown this Louisville staff a little something the last couple of weeks.
Well, Donis Boone, Caleb Chandler doing a nice job on the left side of the offensive line. And Donis Boone, big 74. This is the outside stretch zone. They love this zone. They're going to do mid zone and they're going to do outside zone. This is their offense as we see another injury to a running back for Louisville coming off to the sideline.
Yeah, he is their big power horse back there. Scott Satterfield said that is their strongest running back. Just needs more reps. And remember, Hawkins opted out. There's an injured Syracuse player as well. Will step aside. 7:27 to go in this opening quarter. Working on Rob Hanna for Syracuse. He's the rover, starting because Andre Sisco is out for the year and has opted out. In the tent for Louisville, Jalen Mitchell. And Louisville already thin at that running back position as Maurice Berkeley takes it to the outside. So on the previous play, both teams dinged up at positions where they lack depth as of now.
Yeah, but I tell you, if you're Syracuse, number 19, Rob Hanna, is one of those young freshmen I talked about that they're excited about. He's 168 pounds. He comes in on that run fit and delivers the blow. Both of them go into the tent, so bring your big boy pads so far here in the first quarter.
On 2nd and 8, Cunningham downfield. Wants Atwell. It's tipped and intercepted by Garrett Williams. The redshirt freshman who had a pick 6 against Clemson returns it into Louisville territory. And that's the first turnover of this game.
First turnover of this game by a team that's minus 12 on the season in Louisville. And once again, Malik Cunningham lays this one up. Doesn't allow Tutu Atwell to cross the field and throw it up and over, and he's got people in his face right there. This ball hangs on him. I don't know if Williams is there a little bit early, but it's a great job of ball skills.
Ruling on the field is an interception, and during the return, personal foul, illegal blindside block by the return team. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Syracuse ball, first out.
Now you've got tremendous pressure on the QB here from Syracuse. Right in Malik Cunningham's kitchen, and he's flat-footed, but I'm not so sure that Garrett Williams' knee didn't hit the ground when he caught the ball. He went up, made a great play, ended up double catching it.
Now let's see if we can get another look at that.
Because that would negate what was a nice return. Let's see here. Watch 14. And he's going to secure the ball right there. I don't know if he secured the ball. The knee does touch. I just don't know if he'd had the ball at that point. Had a better look at it from our end zone shot. Right.
Ooh, awfully close. I think you're right, though. Might have popped up before he secures it. Here's Sean Tucker. And Tucker, who's averaging 5 yards a carry with a nice run on first down. Now, those early downs, it sounds so elementary. But because Syracuse has been so bad on third downs, they can't afford to get into 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. They need to make hay on 1st and 2nd down.
No question. And what we've seen from Louisville on those long third downs is they're going to come after him. They're going to test this offensive line and see if the young freshman quarterback can make accurate throws under duress.
They'll keep it on the ground. It's Tucker again, driven back after a gain of about 4. Syracuse has not scored in the first quarter in each of its last 3 games. This is a Louisville defense that finally has reinforcements. They were down 8-9 guys against Virginia Tech, thin on the D-line last week against Virginia. Second and 6, Taj Harris in motion. Tucker devoured for a loss, and now the Orange back in 3rd and long.
That's Jared Goldwire. He's getting up slowly, but once again having his way from his nose position. He's been so disruptive in the first few series here. He's been in the Syracuse backfield, and to your point, 3rd and 8. So keep an eye on Louisville as we see Goldwire go down here, and some of the front looks that they give to once again try and confuse Syracuse up front.
You got to feel for Brian Brown, the defensive coordinator at Louisville. You finally get Tiberius Peterson and Yaya Diaby back after they missed the last 2 games, and now Goldwire goes down. That has been the story of the season for both of these teams. Just when you think you have a little bit of momentum, there's an injury, there's an opt-out, there's unavailability.
And the reality is, and Brian Brown, the defensive coordinator, will tell you this, they're not good enough yet. They're not deep enough yet. They're not athletic enough yet. We've seen their woes throughout the season. The one area where they are stout is at the linebacking core, and it's also a position where they've got great leadership. They haven't had opt-outs, and they haven't had injuries. Guys like C.J. Avery, Yasir Abdullah, who we saw made a play in the first series, Dorian Etheridge, that's the core of this defense. And tonight, I think it's all about their front, because if they disrupt the quarterback, the back end's not going to be a problem, and it's been a problem for them earlier.
And they should be able to do that against an offensive line that really has struggled most of the season and really for the better part of 2 years now.
Yeah, there's no question about it, and they need to get that man, number 90, back on the field. Again, been very disruptive from his nose guard position, and their front 3, again, Tiberius Peterson and Yaya Diaby, the 2 edge guys, when they turn it on, they can be pretty good, but they have not been a good run-stuffing defense. Let's see the look up front from Louisville this time, see if they pressure the young quarterback from Syracuse.
And a flag is down.
False start. Offense number 82. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Damian Alford, seldom used freshman. And the reason he's seeing some time today, no Ed Hendricks again. Syracuse has moved a couple of receivers, Sherrod Johnson and Justin Barron, to the defensive side for this game. Dino Babers telling us this week, for every freshman, you got to be prepared to lose a game.
Yeah.
Empty set on 3rd and 13. Morgan. This is what he can do, extend plays. And taken down by Rajay Burns at the 45-yard line, 4th down.
So the good news, if you're Syracuse, you didn't take a negative play. The young quarterback did something positive on a critical down. You're in plus territory. You punt and get your defense on the field. Hopefully you can pin back Louisville to start off this offensive drive. So that's not the end of the world right there for Jacoby and Morgan.
That sums up the state of the season when That's the silver lining.
Absolutely it is.
Burns to field the Cooney punt. Downed inside the 10. Time to take you from plan to play. Brought to you by Northwestern Mutual.
Well, you can have the best laid plans, but when the plan goes out the window, this is what you're losing. Without Javian Hawkins on the field, look at the speed and explosiveness. Take a look at the angles that defenders from Virginia Tech have on Hawkins. He gets to the corner, and there's at least 2 more defenders down the sideline that got an opportunity to run him down, and he leaves them all in his wake. You don't just replace that. And they're having to now come up with different ways to get run game production with running back by committee.
Hassan Hall gets the carry, first game back after missing the last 3. And what Louisville misses, and Hawkins, not just one of the best running backs in the ACC, a future pro and someone who ran for 1,500 yards last year.
Yeah, and listen, Coach Scott Satterfield tried to talk him out of it. And he said, listen, if you were my son, I would tell you I don't think this is a very good idea, but he decided to do what we thought was best for him.
On 2nd and 8, it's Hall again trying to get to the outside, and he is tracked down. So 3rd down coming up now for Louisville. Cody Roscoe on the stop.
Again, and you see Scott Satterfield looking on there. This is exactly the type of game Syracuse needs to play. Didn't work out on offense. You play field position, and you get this team in 3rd and long backed up on their own 6. Syracuse is in great position here if they keep this ball in front of them.
Berkeley, who's the best running back in pass protection, checks in. 4-man rush. Cunningham will try to run for it. Gets the edge. And a first down run by Malik Cunningham, who ran for almost 200 yards a week ago.
Well, you got to love this play call because you have the numbers in the box. When the quarterback's a runner, you've got a +1. So they've got 6 blockers, and defense for Syracuse has 5 defenders. Tough to deal with an athletic quarterback in that regard. Love that play call.
Cunningham to the air. Floats it downfield. It's tipped, nearly intercepted again. Katie, there's a lot riding on the shoulders of number 3.
There certainly is, and Malik Cunningham is not one to shy away from his mistakes. Instead, he holds himself accountable for the many turnovers that have plagued the Cardinals this season. He says when he turns the ball over, it kills the defense, which has had its own struggles this year. Instead of helping those guys, Cunningham says he's hanging them out to dry. So it's a fine line of trying not to do too much while also accepting what the game gives you.
Here's Watkins. And drives ahead for a gain of 9, 3rd down and 1. And the fine line for Malik Cunningham is, do you temper that aggressiveness, or do you live with some of those turnovers? And
sure.
And that's the push-pull with Scott Satterfield and that quarterback room as well.
Yeah, you got to take the bad with the good to some degree. One of the things that I love about Malik Cunningham's accountability is that's a form of leadership. You acknowledge it. It's hard to say, okay, I was wrong, or I messed that up. I think your teammates respond to that when you make public statements like that.
Hassan Hall with the 2nd effort, able to pick up the 1st down. Hall missed a couple of games with an injury. Last week, he was out attending a family funeral. Had a big game against Syracuse last year. 8 carries, 71 yards, and he's an ace kick returner.
Yep.
Brings some of that explosiveness to the table that you lose without Hawkins.
Yeah, and they haven't played him as much early as I thought they would, because I really felt coming into this game that's as big of an addition as getting Tutu Atwell back.
Cunningham flips it out of the backfield. Incomplete, dangerous throw, and there is a flag down.
Interesting if they get a late shot here. Big number 9, Kingsley Jonathan. On Malik Cunningham.
Personal foul grabbing the face mask. Defense number 9. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
See, coming off this naked bootleg again, he releases off of the. Ooh. Let's see, does he grab this face mask? I don't like that call.
Matt Austin, our rules expert, is with us. Matt, what did you make of the call?
Initially, I like the call because it was totally unnecessary.
Did he grab the face mask though?
I don't think he did, but he got his arm right around the quarterback's neck, threw him to the ground. It was unnecessary. So if anything else, unnecessary roughness.
Okay.
It would have been a flag.
That I can
way.
buy. I can buy unnecessary roughness. And again, we're seeing that in slow motion. They're seeing it very, very quickly. Malik Cunningham lobbied for it. This is quite a hole that this Syracuse defense has let Louisville get out of. It's unfortunate.
1 quarter in the books in Louisville. A 50-yard field goal by James Turner. The difference. College football presented by Ram Trucks. There's dedication on a Friday night. Louisville with a 3-0 lead. And we check in with Katie George.
Well, guys, Louisville wide receiver coach Gunter Brewer has been all over his position group on the Louisville sideline. Brewer was unhappy the Cards had to settle for a field goal in that first quarter. He wants to see Malik Cunningham and the receivers work out some of those miscues and get on the same page moving forward.
Cunningham 0 for 4 on deep balls in that opening quarter. On 2nd down and 4, going short, it's dropped by Dwayne Martin. Again, Louisville dipping into some of its tight end H-back depth without Marshawn Ford.
Yeah, and outside of that curl route that they threw to number 80, Jordan Watkins, in the first quarter, Malik Cunningham is just off. Even that little dump off the RPO there, he's not accurate right now, and he's not making it easy on his targets. Now, they might not be on the same page necessarily, what Coach Brewer's frustrated with, but accuracy is not the friend of the quarterback right now for Louisville.
Louisville has been good on 3rd downs, 4 out of 5. Delayed pressure. Cunningham escaping. And nowhere to go but out of bounds. Syracuse coming up with a stop defensively. It's 4th down in Syracuse territory, so this might be a situation where Louisville decides to go for it.
Well, you got to throw that ball away first and foremost. I think that's the number one thing you're looking at there. And let's see what they're going to do. This time they're going to decide to go for it. Scott Satterfield got something dialed up with his stack alignment here with the formation.
Given what Syracuse has shown you offensively, why not go for it and trust your defense if you don't get it?
No question. No question about it.
Play clock down to 3. Cunningham over the middle. He's got Braden Smith, 1st down and more. 5'10" sophomore who had 100+ yards receiving in his Louisville debut. The last Cardinal to do that was Super Bowl MVP Deion Branch.
And you're going to see him come right to left and just settle over the middle of the field. Does a nice job recognizing Syracuse is in zone coverage. I'm going to sit. I'm not going to run myself to get covered. Malik Cunningham, very accurate throw that time.
Ian Pfeiffer in motion. And a whistle.
Before the snap, the previous play is under further review.
Now let's bring in Matt Austin once again. Matt, what could they be looking at here?
I'm not sure.
Your guess is as good as ours?
I don't think he had a knee down. You could have had a targeting call possibly, maybe 12.
While the officials sort through it, we'll step aside. Replay review, early 2nd quarter.
We were away. This is what the officials were looking at to see if Braden Smith's knee was down. Ended up calling the 1st down and letting it stand. It's a good call. You could still slip a credit card under there, right, Anish?
Maybe 2. Inside the 30 now, 1st and 10. Good sign for Louisville. Jalen Mitchell back in there. Brought down by the freshman Stephon Thompson, 2nd down.
To give you a sense of how good Louisville's run game has been, when they're in 11 personnel, they're in 12 personnel, there's really 2 guys you have to follow. And it's the tight end and the fullback. Where they go, the ball's going. And then what makes them difficult to defend is the play action off of it, the naked off of it with the athletic quarterback. But there's no secret to Louisville's run game.
Well, that's what Louisville wants to do. They want to run the ball. They give it to Mitchell again, and churning for extra yards to move the chains. Katie.
Well, Mitchell was in the tent getting an IV earlier in the 1st quarter, just an IV of fluid, so hopefully give him a little boost here for this next half.
Katie, they need all the backs they can get.
Yeah, well, this was a team last week that ran for 300-plus yards and lost.
Yep.
And the last time that had happened, 1974 against Drake. Turnovers have been the kryptonite for Louisville. Cunningham under duress, lost the football, and on cue coughs it up.
It's unbelievable. You know, this has just plagued this Louisville football team, and it's not just been Malik Cunningham. They've had issues with wideouts, running backs, fumbling the football. This is just carelessness with the ball. He brings the ball down low and takes his offhand away from the ball. You're just asking for a strip sack right there, and that's why the fundamentals of carrying the ball tight and high are so important when you're in a crowd.
Mikel Jones, the sophomore out of Miami, who's going to be a good one at Syracuse, with his 3rd forced fumble of the season. Jihad Carter, a freshman out of Richmond, Virginia, jumped on it, and the Orange get the ball back from their own 20. Morgan, screen pass. He's got Taj Harris. That's Syracuse's top wideout, and a gain of 11 to move the chains.
I really like that play call, Anish, because you're giving the young man confidence. You're not asking him to decipher coverage. You're not asking him to work through progressions. It's one step, get the ball out on a quick screen, let your skill do the rest. Hopefully that'll give this young man some confidence and obviously get some yards on 1st down finally.
Tucker surges ahead to the 35.
You know, with Jacobian, anytime they can get themselves in any type of manageable situation, it just opens up the playbook so much more when you have a freshman quarterback, when you already have a limited playbook because you don't want to overload him. You want to spoon feed him and give him the things that he's got confidence in, and so much of that is tied to down and distance.
Morgan too high, and that was not close. And it brings up 3rd and 6.
You see the body language right there. He's frustrated. He knows that he, number one, made the correct read, the correct decision. He had an open target, and he just isn't settled enough to make an accurate throw and give his guy a chance to make the play.
Syracuse 0 for 3 on 3rd downs tonight. Sub 24% on the season. Louisville bringing some pressure. Morgan intercepted. Picked off by the Cardinals, and Trey Clark, the Liberty transfer. You brought this point up very early. Yes, Syracuse gets a lot of takeaways. They also give it away a lot too.
No, they do, and unfortunately they do it right here. What looked like it was going to be a pretty sharp drive and a dropped ball by the most veteran pass catcher on the team for Syracuse.
True freshman quarterback.
No, you can't. In fact, the young man does everything right here. Look at how he stands tall in the pocket. He's on platform, drives off his back foot, throws it a foot in front of the numbers, which is right where you want it. And his veteran pass catcher lets him down. But you see the exchange here on the sideline, Anish, and they're going to have to work through it. But when you're trying to instill confidence in a young freshman quarterback, you got to make those routine plays.
Yeah, that's Taj Harris. That's the junior. That's Syracuse's top wide receiver. So a mulligan for Louisville. And Hassan Hall sneaks into Syracuse territory. Flag down.
Holding, offense number 66. 10-yard penalty, first out.
The center, Cole Bentley. What did we say at the very top? Turnovers would be the key to the game, and here we are.
Well, the turnovers would be the key to the game, and then when Syracuse has created them for their offense, the offense hasn't been able to capitalize, unfortunately. And that time, Bentley called on the hold against McKinley Williams, number 0, in the middle of that Syracuse defense. Louisville slowing it down here a little bit, kind of taking their time.
Why do you think that is?
I want to just settle down the quarterback. He's made some unforced errors and get him in a rhythm.
On the slant and completed close to midfield. I'll be honest, Louisville does not have a number 0 listed on its roster.
They do not. I like the look of it, though.
That's Josh Johnson wearing number 0. Cunningham gets rid of it. There's Johnson again, agent 0 to the 35.
It's a nice job of Malik Cunningham right here, climbing the pocket a little bit. He's under duress. This time he keeps both hands on the football. Holds on just to the last moment, keeping his eyes downfield, and lets the ball out of his hand. Again, keeping both hands on the ball. You're under duress. You've got people around you. Got to protect the football, young man.
Braden Smith, little pop pass. Got a good block upfield by Isaac Martin, and Louisville close to the red zone.
You can see Isaac Martin leading the convoy right there, number 41, and nice job by Braden Smith, kind of tucking it inside, taking what he can get, getting forward. Nice little wrinkle to the Louisville offense.
Yeah, they feel that Smith has a chance to be a really good one. A former high school quarterback. Hall inside the 20.
Big Renato Brown, number 56, the right tackle there. Cameron DeGeorge, the strength of this Louisville offensive line. They think Renato Brown, just a redshirt freshman, 6'4", 330. I know they missed Mekhi Becton to the NFL, but in time, and I can remember broadcasting one of Mekhi Becton's games when he was a freshman. He was this guy, and the same thing was said about him. So a lot of growth to happen in the Louisville offensive front.
Hall eaten up by the turf monster for a loss, and it's 3rd and long. You got a Syracuse defense that has forced 5 red zone turnovers this year, tops in the ACC, including one on the last Louisville possession.
Yeah, I admire what this defense and Tony White, the defensive coordinator, has been able to accomplish with so many young players. And we've mentioned them tonight. Garrett Williams with the touchdown. Rob Hanna. Mikel Jones had the forced fumble. These guys are all young players that have filled in admirably.
Cunningham to throw. He'll step up and track down from behind. There's another one of the young Bucks, Stephon Thompson.
Another freshman. I just like this young group, and I like that Tony White has turned them loose. He hasn't held their year against them in the sense that just because you're young and inexperienced doesn't mean we can't run our defense. And a lot of pressure coming from the linebacking core and the front between McKinley Williams and Kingsley Jonathan, they're causing some problems for Louisville up front right now.
So James Turner on for his second attempt of the evening, hit from 50. That was a career long, this from 40. And Turner drills it. He's accounted for the Louisville scoring. 6-0 Cards.
ESPN College Football, presented by Ram, is brought to you by Pizza Hut. Order today at pizzahut.com. And Duluth Trading Company, tough, ingenious workwear designed and tested by tradesmen.
4 years ago, Lamar Jackson looking like Rob Roy at Coulter Burn, and he leapt to the forefront of the Heisman conversation that night. It was a Friday night at Syracuse. 600+ yards, 5 touchdowns. That was his real introduction to the national audience.
And he never looked back.
Nykeem Johnson has the 30, lost the football, and Louisville's got it. Louisville appeared to have covered it up, and the Cardinals will take over at the Syracuse 30. It's been a comedy of errors so far.
Well, you admire Nykeem Johnson and his ability to just hit the crease, but you've got to tuck that thing tight. Apply the pressure with your palm and your forearm up against your rib cage. He lets the ball get away from him a little bit. That's a really good tackle on cover teams for Louisville right there. And guess who? The freshman, Jordan Watkins, number 80, who has had a couple of jet sweeps tonight for the offense. And
Marvin Dallas recovered the fumble. Yep. He gets the belt. They'll mark it at the 31 of Syracuse, and another chance here for Louisville. Another pop pass to Smith. Around the bend, and powers inside the 20 for a first down. Thompson with the stop.
You know, we were talking with Scott Satterfield and Dwayne Ledford, the offensive coordinator, about needing to get a little bit more creative with how they move the football. You know, with some of the guys they've had out, particularly Javian Hawkins, they don't just line up and beat you. So you're seeing some more formations. You're seeing a lot of jet sweep tonight, which is more than what we've seen in the past.
On the ground, Mitchell pinballed off the first defender before being gobbled up, and Stephon Thompson again leading the way. True freshman, we've called his name a lot tonight.
Yeah, we sure have. And you know, just a 6 foot, but about 235 pounds, runs really, really well, and he's a good tackler. I mean, think about this. We're talking about a team that came into this matchup having forced 17 takeaways, all right, and has won 1 game. What does that say about where you're at on offense? So obviously a very frustrating year for Syracuse on that side of the ball. Defense holding up and doing their part.
Cunningham throws. He's got Smith, who tumbles down. It'll be 3rd down at the 9-yard line, about 4 to go.
Now that's the game for Louisville on offense, right? It's jet sweep, outside zone, naked bootleg. The question is, will Malik Cunningham protect the football when it's his turn out on the perimeter to choose whether to run or throw? We've seen it happen through the air.
Timeout.
And we've seen it happen on the ground.
We have an injury timeout. The injured Syracuse player is Stephon Thompson. Big 3rd down for Louisville in the red zone. On the Syracuse sideline after his lunch ended up on the Cardinal Stadium turf. 3rd and 4 for the Cards, knocking on the door. Cunningham gets rid of it quickly, and did Mitchell hold on? He did. It's a catch and a first down. 1st and goal, Louisville.
This is just a fantastic catch because, again, not an overly accurate throw. Malik Cunningham saying the ball was tipped there as he released the football, but a great play by Mitchell. And now I think you get back to your bread and butter right here. And you line up and you run it. This is what they do. You're either going to run the football down in here or you're going to go play action pass.
Cunningham out of the backfield to his tight end. And Dwayne Martin gets a little closer to the 2-yard line.
See him in that diamond formation with 2 backs to one side, each side of Malik Cunningham, and then the backfield action to cause some misdirection. Well-designed play there.
Took everything Smurf Greenwood had to bring him down. Mitchell the back in the pistol, 2nd and goal. Mitchell up the middle, powers in. First touchdown of the game, first touchdown of Jalen Mitchell's career.
Well, you mentioned it earlier, Anish. This is a stout, strong, thick, lower-bodied running back, the redshirt freshman. Stands at only 5'10", but he's a pile pusher, and he brings some power, more quickness than Maurice Berkeley. Maybe not as explosive as Hassan Hall. Nobody, of course, is Javian Hawkins, but really good capitalization of the turnover there.
Penalty marker.
Offside. Defense. Penalties decline.
Why not back him up?
Nothing after the Turner PAT. Tomorrow on ABC and the ESPN app, a game that could decide the Big Ten West. Number 10 Wisconsin, number 19 Northwestern, both still unbeaten. And then at 7:30 Eastern, it's Bedlam. Oklahoma State looks for a Norman conquest, but the Sooners have been hot. They've won 4 straight after that 0-2 start in Big 12 play. And Oklahoma doesn't need a whole heck of a lot to get back into the Big 12 title picture.
I think they're playing the best football of anybody in the Big 12. You and I saw them, 3 weeks ago. And it's not just because of Spencer Rattler's development. Obviously, he is continuing to grow. He's, again, just a redshirt freshman. It's easy to forget that Jalen Hurts and Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield, they were all upperclassmen. They were guys that had played significant, meaningful football. This guy's a young pup, and he's really starting to come into his own, but it's the defense for the Sooners. Everybody's talking about Oklahoma State's defense. It's Oklahoma's defense that's made the biggest stride.
Yeah, they got Ronnie Perkins back a few weeks ago. He's their best defensive player, returning from a suspension. Brock Travelstead to kick it away. Nakeem Johnson fumbled it away last time. Johnson from the 3. Ran into a roadblock. And the ball came out. Oh, ball's not out. That was just a bear crawl. Special teams making plays for Louisville. Let's check in with the studio.
All right, guys, coming up at halftime, the return of Trevor Lawrence. We'll discuss the Heisman potential between Lawrence and some of the other quarterbacks that are out there, plus a marquee weekend in the Big Ten. We'll get you set for that. Plus, Jesse Palmer, Joey Galloway back with their virtual locks. It's time to make money. Gentlemen, back to you.
Dorian Jones delivered a huge hit on Nakeem Johnson. And then watch the end of the play. Oh, Johnson goes down.
What a shot.
Wow.
Delay it game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, remember now, they changed this for a couple of years now. After a kickoff, the play clock goes to 25, no longer 40.
Correct, but that you've got to be aware of that. There's no excuse for you not to have your offense on the field. I know that they were talking about Nakeem Johnson and making sure that they attend to him, but your offense has got to be able to get on the field and understand the situation.
Syracuse has managed only 50 total yards of offense And Sean Tucker has been the lone bright spot in this first half for the Orange.
Well, and up until that run right there, 43 of those 50 yards all came on first down. They have not been able to move the football successfully on second or third down. And Dino Babers, you know, as this score starts to get away from him, trying to figure out, all right, how can we move the ball? How do we get it past the 50-yard line under these circumstances?
Morgan zips one over the middle. He's got Quealy. And thrown down at the 45-yard line by Marlon Character.
Nice to see Quealy come up with a catch, a much-needed confidence boost for the young quarterback and Jacobian Morgan, who, again, that's his second accurate throw in a row. Needs some help.
Tucker to midfield. By far the best-looking Syracuse drive of the evening.
Yeah, a little bit of pace as well. The best thing they can do in their passing game is not ask this guy to decipher too much post-snap. Give him a half-field read, get the ball out of his hand quickly, and don't overload him.
Louisville bringing some pressure. And there is the tight end, Aaron Hackett. No gain. All of Central New York clamoring for Syracuse to throw the ball to the tight ends.
Yeah, I know it, right? Kind of been a lost position this year for Syracuse on offense. I think they just seem to like him a little bit more in their run game as opposed to the passing game. But I think they need to get him involved more, because anytime you can have your heavy passing downs or your predictable passing downs and still be an 11 personnel or even 12 personnel, it causes some mismatch problems for the defense.
Let's see now if Syracuse can make hay on third down. 0 for 4 today. It's been a season-long struggle. They'll keep it on the ground with Tucker. He only got a yard, and it's 4th and 5. And now does Louisville call a timeout?
I think Syracuse is going to go for this right here.
Timeout, Louisville, 30-second timeout, and it is the first of the half.
So Louisville with a timeout. They've got 2 left. We remind you to kick off your Week 11 NFL Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern with the Countdown Crew on ESPN and the
Game
app.
clock operator.
All the early breaking
press
stories, injury updates, and previews of each game right up to kickoff. Monday Night Football, it's the Rams and Bucs, 2 of the big contenders in the NFC. The Bucs a half game behind the Saints at 7-2. 18 career Monday night wins for Tom Brady.
I'd say he's owned that night.
Oh, it helps. You play for the Patriots all those years. You get those marquee games. Do you like this call, going for it? 4th and 5?
I think they're to the point right now where it doesn't matter. There's nowhere to go but up. They're trying to find anything they can find to get some momentum and some confidence. I think it's about running plays right now for Syracuse.
Jacobian Morgan opened the season as the 3rd string quarterback.
See that front. Now they're going to rush 3, drop 8.
Morgan rolling to his right. Scanning. Flushed. And nearly intercepted by Chandler Jones. Turnover on downs. He looked like a feather in a vortex back there, and I guess you could say he looked like a true freshman.
Yeah, he did. And, you know, smart move by Louisville. Rush 3, drop 8. Don't give anything up. Come up and make the tackle. This time, very fortunate that ball wasn't intercepted. Tipped at the last minute away from Sean Tucker.
Morgan 4 out of 9, 37 yards, and a pick that was not his fault. And now if you're Louisville, you've got a short field. You've got 2 timeouts. An opportunity to maybe land a knockout punch before halftime.
Well, maybe an opportunity to take a shot right here, too.
Tutu Atwell back this week, but he's been quiet. Looking for Josh Johnson. 3rd catch of the night. He had no catches on the season. Was originally listed at number 11. In fact, he's still listed on both the online and the roster we were given as number 11, but wearing 0. There's the shot. It's caught by Des Fitzpatrick inside the 10. Multiple flags at the end of the play, and Louisville back in business.
Now I'm going to give Malik the benefit of the doubt here, that he threw this on purpose.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 2. That penalty will be added on half the distance to the goal line. First down.
Ife Melifonwu, Syracuse's top DB, clear face mask.
Yeah, that's a really good call. And again, the back shoulder throw, I think Malik Cunningham lost a little steam on this ball. Unfortunately, a veteran like Fitzpatrick's able to just come up, recognize it, make a play on the ball.
Cunningham will keep. And a great tackle behind the line of scrimmage by Ben
30-second
LaBrosse.
charge timeout to Louisville. Second of the half.
And Ben LaBrosse, another one of those freshmen. I remember earlier in the first quarter, Rob Hanna, number 19, who was already filling in for Andre Sisco, he went down. This is a second freshman backing him up. What a great run fit and a tremendous tackle. Look at the effort right here. Good angle. Well done.
It looked like Dwayne Martin missed a block. Louisville still has one timeout, second and goal. Now one of the areas where Syracuse's defense, where it's been strong this year, has been in the red zone. Opponents entered this game with 37 red zone possessions, only 19 touchdowns.
Again, I can't say it enough. When you watch Syracuse, you look at them 2 weeks ago against Boston College, even without full strength, even without their all-conference players, their young guys have grown up in a hurry and really become the most dependable portion of the defense because they're filling in holes where they had all of their veterans in the back end and at linebacker.
Meanwhile, for Louisville, as long as they can take care of the ball, they're going to be in the game. In fact, they've been in games despite turnovers. You said it. That 2-6 record could easily be 5-3, maybe 6-2 if they just took care of the football. On second and goal, they'll keep it on the ground. Berkeley fights ahead inside the 5, and now third and goal. 37 seconds to go.
Timeout, Louisville. 30-second timeout, and is the final timeout of this half.
And Louisville calls its final timeout. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, All-State will make a contribution to the university's general scholarship fund. Thank you, All-State. All right, third and goal from the 4-yard line. Malik Cunningham on third downs, getting out of the pocket, using his feet to either extend plays or run for it, has been a successful go-to for Louisville.
Yeah, there's no question, and I'm not so sure that this isn't two-down territory right here. Given the 13-0 lead, all right, you don't have a timeout, but you've got enough time to call 2 plays here if you wanted to, and have some sudden change, force the defense to line up. This is where Louisville, and again, everybody in the stadium knows it, they love the naked game. And if you can get Malik Cunningham on the perimeter, let's see a little bit of a wrinkle here. I think Evan Conley, the backup quarterback's also on the field.
They've got 2 tight ends stacked to the left. Braden Smith in motion. Cunningham steps up. He'll try to run for it, and he's in.
The backfield action just opens everything up in the middle of the defense. You got the tailback play pass going right. You got the jet sweep going left. Malik Cunningham does a nice job of just taking what the defense gives him. Nobody accounts for quarterback run. Keeps his eyes in front of him. And this might be insurmountable for Syracuse.
Steve Linton missed the tackle. Cunningham scores. Turner cashes in on the PAT. And it's 20-0 Louisville. The Cardinals rolling. Taking advantage of a couple of miscues by Syracuse. A fumble on a kick return set up a short field and 1 score. Syracuse goes for it on 4th down. Can't convert, another short field. And Louisville cashes in.
Whoop. Look out. I'll tell you what, camera guy didn't even flinch.
He didn't flinch.
Huh?
That's the real hero.
Credit Malik Cunningham, too. 10 straight completions. It started to get into a rhythm. Shook off the early 2 turnovers, which has plagued this football team. Can't stress that enough. And now you could kind of see a little pop in his step, don't you?
You heard Katie's report early in the half when she talked about how Cunningham putting a lot of that pressure on himself to be smarter, to be better, and not leave his defense out to dry with some of those silly turnovers. He's had a couple in this first half, but oh, has he atoned?
He's atoned, and he's very fortunate that they're playing a team that has been given a lot of gifts by their defense and has not been able to capitalize, so they've survived due to a lack of production in Syracuse offense.
New return man for Syracuse is Trevor Pena. Nakeem Johnson took a big hit last time, fumbled before that. Little pooch kick. Syracuse lost it! And it looks like Louisville has covered it up. The Cardinals get it back. Trey Clark with the fumble recovery, and it's the second special teams miscue by the Orange.
Credit Scott Satterfield. What a call. You got nothing to lose. You know what Syracuse is on offense. Pop the ball up, see if you can create an error from Syracuse, and great coverage awareness that time. 2 players on the cover team right there for Syracuse, excuse me, for Louisville. Johnny on the spot, 38-13, man.
Jack Fagot and Keitrell Clark, who they call Trey. Aaron Hackett could not field the kick. A chance for more. Louisville, though, out of timeouts. Cunningham wants 6, going downfield, and nearly intercepted by Carter.
Malik got a little greedy. I understand taking the shot there, but that doesn't mean you disregard coverage. Jahad Carter coming out of his hash roll in a 2-deep safety look. Doing a nice job breaking on the football. Very risky throw there from Malik Cunningham. Again, no timeouts. You still have plenty of time. You got to come away with at least 3 here.
From the 35-yard line, Turner tonight is hit from 50. Cunningham to the sideline, perfectly executed. It's Braden Smith. Clock stops with 17 seconds to go. And what's the mode of operation now for Louisville?
Right now you got plenty of time. If Syracuse is going to allow you to throw the football to the sideline, all right, continue to take what they give you. At some point or another, you're going to have to take some shots into the end zone. But again, you're up 20. Syracuse cannot function on offense. You have got to come away with 3.
Louisville's kicker Turner also perfect inside of 50 this season. Cunningham under pressure. Chucks one downfield, intercepted. Picked off by Melifonwu. Well, did he come down with it in bounds?
This is just a great play by Melifonwu. And of course, he comes foots in bounds, secures the ball.
That's a pick.
But what is Malik Cunningham doing here downfield with his eyes? No awareness on 2 out of the last 3 plays of safety alignment pre-snap. You got to be aware of that guy coming off the hash.
We've seen the best and worst of Malik Cunningham, and we've seen Louisville's entire season in some ways play out in a microcosm in this first half.
No question.
Tucker. And that will take us to halftime. 3 turnovers by Louisville. Syracuse, though, hasn't been able to do anything with them. The Cards are 7-1 when leading at the half under Scott Satterfield. They're up 20-0. Fall primetime presented by Ram Trucks. Syracuse and Louisville from Cardinal Stadium. It's the ACC on ESPN. Louisville with a 20-0 lead as we get set to begin the third quarter. We said at the start of the broadcast, The theme of tonight's game would be turnovers. 6 of them in one half?
6 of them in one half, and the issue, if you are Syracuse, is the reoccurring theme of creating them coming into this matchup where you've essentially been the second best team in all of college football forcing turnovers, and you can't capitalize on them. Offensively, you cannot function and put points on the board. So for Louisville, they've been able to survive some of the issues that Malik Cunningham has had. And then you see a young quarterback for Syracuse not being helped out by his teammates.
That was tonight's game flow, brought to you by Progressive. Louisville will receive the second half kickoff. Nolan Cooney to send it away, and Hassan Hall back deep. Return to kick for a touchdown last year against Wake Forest. And he's driven down at the 23. We've got a penalty marker.
There are 2 fouls during the return, both by the return team. Holding number 1, that penalty's declined. Holding number 42, that penalty is accepted. 10 yards, first down.
Only the second penalty on Louisville, and the Cardinals have a lead. It's a comfortable lead. They've been in a lot of close games that haven't gone their way this season. Malik Cunningham at times has looked great, but he's also committed 3 turnovers.
Well, and he's 0 for 6 on the deep ball and has committed 2 interceptions with ill-advised throws.
The penalty is half the distance to the goal line, first down.
On all other throws for Louisville, Malik Cunningham, he's 15 of 16 for 173 yards on the night. So the efficiency coupled, or the inefficiency coupled with the turnovers in the vertical passing game has been the issue.
Jalen Mitchell on first down got a yard. He had 7 carries for 40 yards in the first half, and down the stretch, both these teams losing records. You're going to see more young guys. And Louisville has something in Mitchell. We saw it last week when he had 7 carries for 76 yards. Brings a physical presence to that backfield.
Well, he does, and again, he's kind of the blend between Hassan Hall and Javian Hawkins. Has some power, can be a bit of a bruiser, but is nimble-footed enough to create some plays on his own.
Mitchell again. And tackled inside the 15 by Sherrod Johnson, wearing number 8 for Syracuse. He's been playing wide receiver, but the Orange so thin in the secondary. Johnson and Justin Barron helping out at DB tonight.
Well, and listen, think about the versatility. Oh, you've been playing wide out? You know what? Listen, I'm sorry. We're going to have to go on the road. We're going to need a little help in the defensive back end. So you, along with our other freshmen, are going to lead the charge on defense.
3rd and 5. Louisville 6 of 9 on 3rd downs. Cunningham, another deep shot, and it's through the hands of Braden Smith.
Nish, we were just critical of Malik Cunningham's inability to be an accurate passer on the deep ball. That time he drops one right in the bucket. And Braden Smith, who's really shown flashes, just didn't extend enough. You know, you've got to accelerate to the football, run underneath and extend the hands out there. Poor job of judging the football that time from Smith. He knows it.
Ryan Harwell to punt it away. He's been unavailable the last 2 games. And Trevor Pena to return for Syracuse. So Nakeem Johnson has not been out there as the return man on special teams. And this one takes a Louisville roll inside the 30, and it dies at the 25. Let's check in with Katie George.
Well, guys, at half, Dino Babers said offensively his team needs to start completing passes on 3rd downs. They tried to run the ball when they were in the middle of the field and got bottled up. He wants to see Jacoby and Morgan start passing in those situations. He says his offense needs to convert on one of these early drives. He said if we can't start moving the football, this could result in a goose egg.
Does it concern you, Lugs, that in year 5 of the Dino Babers era, and he's an offensive coach, that the offense has been this bad?
Yeah, it's not. Listen, he's been a bit of a victim of a lot of injuries up front, very little continuity. Tommy DeVito, prior to getting hurt, had just been, he was the Derek Carr of college football, just getting crushed.
Oh, there's Nakeem Johnson, and it's incomplete.
But I am surprised that they haven't had a little bit better depth at quarterback in terms of more talented guys. I think they like this young kid in Jacobian Morgan, but he's not ready to play yet. They're doing the best they can with him. And again, it's hard enough to play
Injury
with
timeout.
It's hard enough to play with a freshman quarterback when everything around you is really, really solid. It's really difficult when it's not, and that's the position Syracuse is in.
Isaiah Hayes, who was out a couple of weeks ago, hurt for Louisville.
Something to believe. ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
Second and 10, Syracuse. Isaiah Hayes got nicked up for Louisville. And Josh Minkins in at free safety for the Cards. And engulfed in the backfield is Morgan. Rajay Burns coming off the edge. Third and long for Syracuse. They're 0 for 5 on third down tonight.
Well, they don't block anybody at the point of attack right there. And this time, Chris Elmore, again, the former fullback and former defensive lineman, is trying to cross over in pass protection. They've got 2-on-1, and the quarterback's got no chance.
Yeah, former fullback, tight end. He played D lineman, and he has graded out as their best offensive line this year. That paints the picture of what Syracuse has had to deal with up front. The Orange on third down like a marionette with a clipped string. Still not reattached, fourth down.
There's nowhere to go with the football when you're a young quarterback that hasn't seen very many things, and the opposing defense is going to rush 3 and drop 8. There's a lot of red jerseys that are flashing in front of your eyes, and he just can't find anything. The thing's moving so fast for Jacobian Morgan right now.
Cooney on to punt it away. Burns lost it. And who covered it up? Luke Benson signaling Syracuse has it. Officials sorting through the carnage. Watkins says it's Louisville ball. And the Cardinals able to hang on. We've already seen 2 special teams turnovers tonight.
See his eyes go forward. Doesn't secure the football first because you're looking to see who's barreling down on him. Number 23 doing a nice job. Johnny on the spot. KJ Cloyd quick to jump on that football.
Number 80 for Syracuse, Isaiah Jones just paused.
A lot of white jerseys around the ball. None of them dumped on the football. Cloyd was moving at a different speed.
So Malik Cunningham and this offense start at the 30-yard line. Cunningham has struggled with the deep ball. Incomplete, too high. He wanted Fitzpatrick. Melifonwu with the coverage. Melifonwu earlier this year really did a nice job against Clemson's Amari Rogers. And you said it earlier, if you had Andre Sisco and Trill Williams.
It's an entirely different defense. And this is already a defense that's, again, came into this game the second leading turnover causer in all of college football.
Offensively, it's been a black hole, though. Berkeley canceled behind the line of scrimmage. Canton Arku in there, as was Kingsley Jonathan.
Listen, I give a lot of credit to this Syracuse defense. Nothing has gone right for Syracuse offensively, and these kids just keep coming out and playing. Tony White's got these kids giving great effort. Got Louisville backed up 3rd and 12, trying to give another opportunity to your offense.
Now Louisville tonight without Javian Hawkins, who opted out. We haven't seen a lot of Tutu Atwell, who did start. Cunningham zips one over the middle, and there's Braden Smith. His 6th catch.
It's going to be close.
He's going to be a little short. It's 4th down. And the offense still out on the field.
Absolutely it is.
Inside the 40-yard line?
Let's work some offense. Yeah, inside the 40-yard line.
Play clock down to 10. It might be a ploy to get Syracuse offsides. They'll run a play. And a first down for Berkeley. He's a north-south runner. And Syracuse is the worst run defense in the ACC.
Yes, they are. And this is a nice job at the point of attack. And Berkeley does a really good job getting skinny in the crease and falling forward. No need to dance. No need to hesitate. You need 1 yard. And I think that's one of those moments for Scott Satterfield. Dwayne Ledford, you see there with the beard. If we can't get 1 yard offensively, we got to work these things. These are great quality reps for us as we're trying to work in some of these young guys with the loss of Javian Hawkins.
Also no Marshawn Ford tonight, the starting tight end. Berkeley again powers into Syracuse territory, a gain of 11 for Maurice Berkeley. A senior, a former walk-on. This is just his second career start. Last week, 12 carries, 44 yards against Virginia.
Not flashy, but productive.
And they like what he brings in pass protection as well.
I thought their backs against Virginia a week ago, and this was without Hassan Hall, protected
and
really well. And Hawkins. And Virginia brought the kitchen sink, and they did a nice job holding up in protection.
315 yards rushing last week for Louisville. A lot of that was done by Cunningham. He had 197 on the ground. Smith in motion. Another pop pass. Met behind the line. Stephon Thompson, his 4th TFL. If it holds, there is a flag.
There's no foul for unnecessary roughness. Second out.
Tell you what, Stephon Thompson tonight, the freshman from Charlotte, he has impressed.
He has impressed. I'm telling you, the young players, Mikel Jones, sophomore, Stephon Thompson, freshman, Jihad Carter, freshman, Garrett Williams, redshirt freshman. This is just a wonderful job of not only identifying the play, but reacting and making a tackle in the open field versus a wide receiver. There's a core nucleus here, and I know it hasn't been pretty, but there's some good players on this side of the ball for Syracuse.
Louisville, too, has had its struggles on that offensive line this year.
Tackle over this time for Louisville, at the bottom of your screen.
Berkeley stays in bounds, still going. The legs never stop churning, and a first down run, a gain of 19.
Again, here's this outside stretch zone that they love, and this time they got a numbers advantage when they brought the tackle over into the boundary. You got an extra hat to the short side of the field.
Look at time of possession.
Wow. Look at the plays.
Now, Syracuse is a team that likes to run a lot of plays. Ideally, they want to be in the 80-90 range. Berkeley again. And you get the sense it's still midway through the 3rd quarter. This defense is gassed.
Well, they're getting worn out. And again, giving them a lot of credit for hanging in there and fighting and playing hard. But you can only sustain so many 3 and outs. Okay, you can only sustain getting such little oxygen on the sideline. But again, I credit their effort. And I think Tony White, first-year defensive coordinator, came over from Arizona State. When things aren't going good, you got to at least have great effort from your kids.
Louisville, meanwhile, continues to impose its will. It's Berkeley again, tripped up in the backfield. There's Garrett Williams, another one of the freshmen. And for Louisville and Dwayne Ledford and Scott Satterfield, this is what they want to be. They want to be a running football team that's going to hit you in the mouth. And now Berkeley is down. Closing in on a career high in rush yards
And he's been this series. I mean, it's been outside zone right, outside zone left. He got up really slowly there. We'll take a little break while they attend to Berkeley.
College football presented by Ram is brought to you by Samsung QLED TV, the official TV of ESPN College Football, and Casper, your one-stop shop for all things sleep.
He lived the life we all imagine. Heisman Trophy winner, Super Bowl champion, just a legend of the game. Paul Hornung starred at Notre Dame from Louisville, passed away last week, a week ago today actually, at the age of 85, or 84, excuse me.
All-time greats, man.
And A. Schroff, Tom Luganbill, Katie George with you on a Friday night. Louisville blanketing Syracuse 20-0, and now in the red zone on 2nd and 10. Jalen Mitchell tracked down from behind. Stephon Thompson was in there.
You know, it's interesting as we enter into the red zone here, 3rd and 12, and we haven't seen really anything from Tutu Atwell. Getting Hassan Hall in the backfield was supposed to be a big addition, getting him back after attending a family funeral last week. It's been everybody else. It's been Berkeley. It's been Jalen Mitchell. It's been Cunningham. 0 yards tonight for Hall.
Atwell is in there here on 3rd and 12. No Marshawn Ford either, the starting tight end. Pressure coming from up the middle. Cunningham hit, and there's Tutu Atwell for a touchdown.
Tutu's ears are burning, man. You know what? He said, you know what, you're right. They haven't gotten the ball to me. This is the best deep ball of the night from Malik Cunningham. Throws it right over the top, drops it in. Good separation on the corner route. Look at that, 5 yards plus versus a true freshman and Ben LaBrosse.
Atwell led the ACC in receiving yards a season ago. Had a big game against Syracuse last year. 5 catches, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns, 90 yards. .27-zip. It has been all Louisville tonight. And we finally get a Tutu sighting. Cunningham to Atwell. The route continues.
Let me run it up. Still won't let me inside Canada. Wave runners on the White House floor. My son already told me
Stadium where Louisville has taken a 27-0 lead after Malik Cunningham completed a 19-yard touchdown pass to Tutu Atwell. And as the two friends ran off the field in celebration, Cunningham turned to Atwell and said, I told you I was going to get you one. I told you I was going to get you one, guys. So, Tom, they must have been listening to you up in the booth.
I'm just glad to see something good happen to both of them in the downfield passing game, Katie. They needed to kind of get off of the poor production in that area.
Trevor Pena had trouble with the kick and then gets knocked back. Let's look at tonight's timely delivery brought to you by DoorDash. On that last drive, Louisville goes for it on 4th and 1 from inside their 40. And then a little bit later, Malik Cunningham to Tutu Atwell. As Katie said, I got you.
Listen, when this offense, if you had a chance to watch Louisville, not only last year, but early on, when it was Malik Cunningham, Des Fitzpatrick, Tutu Atwell, and Javian Hawkins, and then, of course, at tight end, Marshawn Ford, that's a lot of skill for anybody to have to handle.
Nakeem Johnson. There's that pop pass, picks up a couple. And in some ways, it feels like Malik Cunningham has taken a step back this year, but last year, nobody expected Louisville to have the season they did. There weren't any expectations. This year, got the momentum from a strong year where you defied expectations. Now you've got the burden of having to fulfill expectations.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And listen, you got everything working against you, too. You've got a pandemic, you've got injuries, you've got opt-outs. Oh, and by the way, you keep giving the ball to the other team.
False start. Offense number 56. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Darius Tisdale, the right guard. Last year, all those close games, Louisville was coming out on top.
Yep.
This year, it's been the other way around. Lost by 3 to Pitt, by 5 to Notre Dame. Lost to Georgia Tech despite leading in the fourth quarter. And then turnovers torpedoed the efforts the last 2 times out against Virginia Tech into Virginia. There's Sean Tucker. And he has been the lone bright spot offensively for Syracuse. Interestingly enough, we haven't seen Cooper Lutz, who's more of a pass-catching back in that running back stable.
It hasn't been on the field at all tonight, really. And again, when you're down to your 5th starting tailback, I mean, you're lucky to have enough bodies on your roster within your walk-on room and your scholarship room to even get to that number.
Lutz watches this 3rd down from the sideline. Morgan lit up, ball's on the ground. Syracuse fell on it. And another failed 3rd down conversion. And another quarterback down for the Orange. Yasir Abdullah, who was a stud last week, with the forced fumble.
You talk about a shot, and he just runs right by Arian Cervais, the offensive tackle, number 68, and clobbers Morgan. Whoa.
So Nolan Cunha to punt it away. And Syracuse is running out of quarterbacks. Tommy DeVito out for the season. Rex Culpepper, who is a great comeback story, cancer survivor. He's been hurt. His availability a question mark tonight. Rajay Burns to the 30. Let's check in with SportsCenter and Michael Eaves.
Coming up on SportsCenter, how Bedlam will be won. Woj has the latest NBA free agency moves, plus the deciding factor in Titans-Ravens. And Kenny Mayne in the woods bragging about his clothes from the Duluth Trading Company. Now back to the game.
All right, thank you, Michael. That's not a good sign. They're looking at Jacoby and Morgan.
No. Syracuse right now just hanging by a thread. I mean, really hanging by a thread, trying to come up with ways to function, get a ball snapped, have a quarterback on the field that could actually run the offense.
This has been a challenge for the Syracuse program for a while now. Getting through the season with just one quarterback just hasn't happened. Hassan Hall with a nice run, a 1st down pickup. One more look. Never saw it.
You know, and sometimes as a quarterback, those are the shots that don't hurt the most. They jar you. It's the ones that don't look like, you know, they're all that menacing, or the ones that can really get you in trouble. You see Rex Culpepper here warming up, and he's really, if he can go, they have to go with him.
Yeah, the other guy would be Dylan Markowitz, a true freshman out of Texas. Culpepper last week, we were told, was unavailable due to injury, and his status for tonight was a question mark. All the momentum with Louisville. Cunningham keeps it, has the edge, and scuttles out of bounds. A nice pickup. Morgan into the tent. The medical team will look at him.
You see how the medical staff there at Syracuse is looking at Jacoby and Morgan and trying to gauge his eye movement. Obviously that was a shot. Jerked the head back a little bit, not only when he took the hit, but when he hit the ground.
Meanwhile, for Louisville, Jalen Mitchell is in the tent as well. So Louisville running backs keep going down tonight. Berkeley got nicked up earlier. Here's Hall. 1st down Louisville. Mitchell was in the tent earlier in the game as well.
Yeah, and listen, I think, maybe they didn't feel like Hall was in the best frame of mind. Maybe his conditioning wasn't where they wanted it to be. Wanted to have him available, but never had any real intention of utilizing him as the feature back. But again, another guy, they're going to need him to finish this thing out.
That's the other danger, too. The guy who may not be ready for extended playing time now gets that extended playing time due to injury, and you leave yourself susceptible.
No question.
Isaac Martin motions to the left hip of Cunningham. Hassan Hall once again right into that Syracuse armada. Marlowe whacks the tackle, flag down.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 28. That penalty is 15 yards and an automatic first down.
Yeah, no place for that. LaBrosse swung in the Louisville backfield and connected with the helmet of a Cardinal player. No place for that. On 1st and 10, Cunningham under pressure, and he is canceled for a sack. Canton Arku.
Ben LaBrosse right here. You're going to see him right there, and of course, they don't get the first guy. He got a little bit of a scuffle right there. And then, of course, 28 retaliates. And again, selfish penalty. You're frustrated. All right, you want to be physical. You got your opportunity. You're a freshman filling in for an injured Rob Hanna, but you've hurt your football team. And it's a reflection of where Syracuse is right now as a team at a 1-7 pace.
Play clock down to 2. Hall inside the 35, 3rd and long. Jihad Carter with the tackle, the freshman from Richmond. Hassan Hall last year, we thought he was going to be the guy in the run game, and then along comes a redshirt freshman by the name of Javian Hawkins. 1,500 yards later, Hall relegated to second string.
Yeah, well, and he, Hawkins is a human blur. Half the time it's hard to keep pace with him on a television screen. That's how impactful he is every time he touches the football.
He had 233 yards in the win against Syracuse last year. Cunningham accounted for 6 TDs in that game. Des Fitzpatrick, and Louisville on 3rd and 17 converts.
Nice play call here on the tunnel screen. Fitzpatrick sells it with a couple of steps upfield. Comes back to the football. Accurate throw.
Louisville has had the ball for almost 32 minutes. They've run twice as many plays as Syracuse. Orange have been milling in retreat for most of the night. And quarter number 3 comes to an end.
That is the end of the 3rd quarter.
Louisville with a 27-zip lead through 3. Kobe and Morgan, the true freshman, being intended to in the tent. Here's what happened on the last Syracuse possession. Abdullah from the blind side. Morgan hits his head.
Yeah, it's not the initial hit. It's the bouncing off of the turf is what they're looking into here, and wishing that young man the best. It's been a tough night for him and for Syracuse on offense.
Now, we don't want to speculate, but they were checking him for a head injury. Puma pass in the game now for Louisville. Senior who's been through a lot with the Cardinals, as we check in with Katie.
Well, guys, I've received word that Jacobian Morgan will be taken to Norton Ottoman Hospital. That is within 10 minutes of Cardinal Stadium for further testing to assess his current injury.
Wow.
Yeah, so many precautions need to be taken when you're dealing with the head or neck area there, and you saw his head bounce off the turf. Never good to see that.
Flag is down.
False start. Offense number 55. 5-yard penalty. Second out.
Jawan Pass, they call him Puma.
Yep.
The new quarterback for Louisville. And if you forgot, he was the starter 2 years ago when Louisville lost to Syracuse, and he had one of the hardest jobs in college football. He had to be the guy after the guy.
Well, and let's not forget the state of the roster at that time. And dare I say, poisonous / toxic atmosphere around the program within the locker room. And he didn't have an opportunity as he calls timeout here.
Timeout, Louisville. That is their first of this half.
To get off with a bunch of good people around him and get off to a fast start. Very difficult circumstances for the young man.
He started 11 games. He's played in 18, getting a chance in mop-up time tonight. On the ACC network, it's the Hokies and Panthers. Virginia Tech brings the nation's 7th-ranked rushing attack into Pittsburgh. Stingy Panthers D, and we'll see how healthy Khalil Herbert is for the Hokies.
Oh, what a difference Kenny Pickett's made for Pitt getting back on track. And I don't know which Virginia Tech team is going to show up.
Another flag is down.
5-yard penalty. Second out.
Ian Pfeiffer, the tight end, former Vanderbilt Commodore. He's a converted O-lineman, 2nd and 22 for Louisville. Pass finds Watkins and shoved out of bounds by Jihad Carter. 3rd down. Jordan Watkins, a true freshman, a high school track star. Originally a Kentucky commit, but always wanted to play at Louisville. Bobby Petrino never showed any interest, but when the new staff came in, they reached out and were able to flip him.
Yeah, Scott Satterfield and his staff, when they arrived in town, boy, they really blanketed the state. It was a huge priority for them as they're kicking off their blueprint in their tenure at Louisville.
On 3rd and 9. Melifonwu, the cornerback, making the play on pass, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, Jawan's got to have a better sense of where pressure's coming from. He just moved himself into the danger zone by fleeing out to his left, and his back's blocking the rusher off the edge. Not a good choice there by the reserve.
A 33-yard attempt for Turner, who has hit from 40 and 50 tonight. And he's 3 for 3. Louisville with a 30-0 lead.
College Football Playoff Top 25 Ranking Show, Tuesday at 7 on ESPN, presented by Allstate.
First college football playoff rankings come out this Tuesday. All right. What do you got, Luke and Bill?
Yeah, Alabama 1, Ohio State number 2. Big matchup versus Indiana this weekend. I really love what Notre Dame has become. And Clemson still at 4, going to get back to more full strength. And I think Florida's playing the best football right now, but Texas A&M beat them. And I got to stick with the Aggies at 5.
Ohio State aces the eye test. I'm curious if the committee will place them in the top 4 based on just the volume of games they've played, which doesn't measure up to some of the other teams you see out there.
It'll be a telltale sign, won't it?
May not mean much at the end of the day, but we've seen at those initial rankings sometimes. There's a screwball or two in there. I wonder where Cincinnati and BYU end up.
Well, listen, both of those teams are really, really good football teams, playing the best football of anybody in college football right now as well.
Usually the first release gives us some idea of what the committee values in a given year. How much of it is eye test or strength of schedule, or in this case, games played.
Well, and we're going to hear this phrase used more than we've ever heard before.
Data points?
Data points. That's it. Data points, data points, data points, data points.
New quarterback for Syracuse is Rex Culpepper, and that's nearly intercepted. Jacoby and Morgan out of the tent and on the sideline for Syracuse. And Culpepper, who's a great story, a great profile and courage, beat testicular cancer, underwent surgery, 100 hours of chemotherapy, had a great moment earlier this year when he came back and threw a touchdown pass against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, listen, he gives them a chance, and you're right, his story has been remarkable.
Culpepper to Quealy. Third catch. Quealy's the only Syracuse receiver with more than one catch today. The Orange have completed just 6 passes.
Well, yeah, and Culpepper on the field right now is Jacoby and Morgan on the sideline, but good to see him out of the tent. Still no diagnosis, still no concrete information, but he was up and moving around. Really happy to see that for this young man. He took a shot, and that head coming off the turf was troublesome.
On 3rd and 6, Culpepper in trouble and brought down. Monty Montgomery, his team leading 5th sack. And now it's starting to get heated. Tensions boiling over in the 4th quarter of a lopsided affair.
All right, let's get to your respective corners, fellas.
I did not see a flag. It's 4th down. That might be a season's worth of frustration surfacing for Syracuse. There it is.
Certainly.
Aaron Service, a little push on Abdullah. Dakota Davis getting tied up in the middle.
It is a bit surprising. No flag right there. Officials saying, let's move along. Nothing for you to see here.
There's a flag. Cooney lets it go. Burns will let it bounce out of bounds at the 25.
Illegal formation by the kicking team. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the dead ball spot. First down.
The good news for Syracuse, basketball season starts next week.
Ball is presented by Ram, built to serve.
Some great names have come through Louisville. Lee Corso, Tom Jackson, our colleague in the Ring of Honor. Let's not forget about Katie George, by the way. Outstanding volleyball player at Louisville.
Bring in the intensity.
Local celebrity down there on the field tonight. Jalen Mitchell gets the call on first down. 10.5 to go. Louisville had its end game schedule reshuffled due to Miami being impacted by COVID-19. Miami had to postpone its next 2 games. One was against Wake Forest, and so Louisville will now play Wake next Saturday, then get a week off before playing BC on December 12th. Originally, Louisville was scheduled to play BC next Friday and then Wake the following Saturday. And another flag.
False start. Offense number 72. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Well, Neach, I can tell you right now, after seeing Wake Forest and the job that Dave Clawson and his staff have done, Louisville cannot turn the football over and have any hope of beating Wake Forest.
Got Boogie Basham on that defensive line.
Yeah, Sam Hartman's really started to develop. Sure.
Yeah, they lose a quarterback like Newman. You think, okay, can Wake recover from that? And Sam Hartman's had a terrific season.
Yeah, and he had played 2 years ago as a true freshman, so he got a taste of it. But it's a developmental program that needed time to mature and really playing good football. Heartbreaking loss last week to North Carolina.
Pass under pressure and has to throw it away. You know, you look at these two teams. Wake Forest can be a template for Syracuse. Louisville, given what they've done in the recent past and just their geographical location, has a chance to get good quickly, and I think they will under Scott Satterfield. For Syracuse, though, what Dave Clawson has done as Wake with redshirting guys and building a program on the backs of fourth-year juniors and fifth-year seniors, that is a template to follow.
It is a template to follow, but Wake Forest has an advantage that Syracuse does not, and that's proximity to players.
You're right.
Proximity to really good players in just about every direction without having to travel too far.
On 3rd and 12, Puma pass to Mitchell. And dropped at the 30. Louisville will have to punt. Tom Luginbill, you are our national recruiting director. So what is your assessment of how Syracuse has adapted recruiting-wise to the ACC landscape?
I just think it's so difficult because as the conferences shifted and the landscapes shifted, if you are Syracuse, not only can you not build your roster out of in-state kids, you're having to go at least one, if not multiple states away from yours into everybody's backyard that's a competitor to you and steal players away from hometown teams. That's extremely difficult. So Pennsylvania has to be a huge priority. Eastern Ohio has to be a huge priority. And when Syracuse was really, really good, the Chicago and the metro areas were really plentiful. But it's a much tougher job when it comes to recruiting than it has ever been before.
Priority one in the offseason for Dino Babers will be finding a quarterback. And you've done this for a long time. QBs these days, you can find a good one in the transfer portal.
Yep, you can. And I think the goal, if you're Syracuse, is you've got to find one with multiple years of eligibility, because you've got to keep in mind you get to add another year of eligibility on top of that because of the pandemic. So it's imperative that Dino and his staff start digging through the transfer portal. There's going to be somebody out there that's going to be an upgrade, but it can't be a one-year guy. That's a Band-Aid.
Jacoby and Morgan, a true freshman, made it just his second career start tonight. He was knocked out of the game earlier. So Rex Culpepper in there. Cuse has used 3 starting quarterbacks this season, and we get an update from Katie.
Well, guys, when Jacoby and Morgan came out of the medical tent, he had a conversation with 2 people in Syracuse gear who were clearly checking on him behind the Syracuse bench. He's still here on the sidelines without his helmet, and I want to clarify, he will not be going to the hospital. Anish,
okay.
Tom.
All right, thanks for clarifying, Katie. He's on the bench, and that scene, a quarterback going down, has been a recurring nightmare for this program as Sean Tucker keeps his balance, gets into Louisville territory.
Well, it's hard enough as you see the true freshman sitting there in the middle of your screen. It's hard enough to play the position. It's a steep learning curve, and when things aren't great around you, it makes it even all the more difficult. And I think what they found out, Syracuse, Dino Babers, Sterling Gilbert, the offensive coordinator, found out over the last 2 weeks was just how little football Jacoby and Morgan knows at this point. They're having to start from square one with him. They're having to teach the game with him. And so, you know what? You go back to basics, but it also trims down your playbook, and it leaves you with very limited options to run the offense.
You played the position. What's that like, being thrown into the fire when you're not quite ready?
Well, listen, I was a coach's kid. I didn't redshirt. I had 2 years advanced as a junior college player, and it was still a tremendously steep learning curve. The speed of the game and the variety of things that you see on defense is a totally different level from where he's come from. And so, you know, when you're sitting there saying, all right, young man, you got to key that, hook to curl defender or curl to hook defender. What you got to see that Haas safety. He might be looking at you cross-eyed. I mean, he might be sitting there going, oh, Coach, I don't understand what you're saying to me when you give me that instruction. So you're really starting from scratch.
On 3rd and 4, here's Tucker. And Syracuse now 0 for 9 on 3rd downs tonight. They came into the game converting less than 24%. Only Kansas, among teams that had played 4 games, was worse. That percentage going down tonight. They haven't had a game this year where they've converted more than 5 3rd downs. 0 for 9 tonight.
And that explains why the turnovers have essentially meant nothing for this team that's done a lot of good things on defense.
And this drive dies in Louisville territory. Greedy Vance, the freshman with the PBU. Louisville with a 30-0 lead. Get our Corona premiere moments from the night.
Well, it's all about mistakes, miscues, turnovers for both teams, to be honest with you. And we've had a good kicking game from Louisville. Going to see a turnover right here. That really was the nail in the coffin right there for Syracuse, because it put it out of reach with Louisville capitalizing off of that turnover.
New running back for Louisville, Aiden Robbins, 6'3", 230-pound thumper, a redshirt freshman. Now, something to watch for Louisville going forward. Their running back depth has now taken a hit. We told you about Javian Hawkins opting out. Maurice Berkeley got banged up in this game. Jalen Mitchell was in the tent a couple of times. Hassan Hall is just coming back after missing 3 games with a personal issue and injury.
Yeah, an injury. So I think his conditioning is down. I think they're going to ease him back in the lineup, which is what we saw tonight. He's clearly the most dynamic of the group, but an opportunity for Louisville to get their young guys some turns as we see Evan Conley throwing the football here. Stay inbound, young man.
He gets Roscoe Johnson. Conley, a sophomore from Marietta, Georgia, actually committed to Scott Satterfield at App State. When Satterfield took the Louisville job, Conley followed. Last year, came in for an injured Malik Cunningham and led Louisville to a win against Wake Forest.
Well, and you see there Marietta, Georgia. So, you know, you're at Boone, North Carolina. You're going to border on South Carolina and Georgia and Tennessee. And so a lot of familiarity in the high school landscape with Scott Satterfield and his staff. So you bring that over to Louisville, and you're going to recruit Ohio. You're going to recruit the state, a little bit of Indianapolis. But you're going to stay in Georgia and South Carolina, Florida, and North Carolina, because there's an opportunity to get some good players, because you're not going to be able to build your roster entirely from in-state kids in Kentucky.
You're right. Satterfield's connections, especially in the Carolinas, you can go into Clemson's backyard and NC State's backyard and UNC's backyard and Duke's backyard.
Well, and the thing about the state of North Carolina, it is so oversaturated with universities, and it's not what I would call an allegiance state. You know, kids don't come out of the womb and say, I'm going to play football here or here. It's not like the state of Alabama. So you're able to go in there, and if you got something to offer, might not be as difficult to lure a guy away as if you're trying, you know, as opposed to recruiting against Auburn or Alabama in the state of Alabama.
Conley slings it and completes to Dwayne Martin inside of the 25. Tomorrow night, UFC 255, a couple of flyweight titles on the line in Las Vegas. Davison Figueiredo, defends his title against Alex Perez, and Valentina Shevchenko defends hers against Jennifer Maia. The prelims start at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN2.
What do you think of the throwback unis?
1950 throwbacks for Louisville, a little homage to Johnny Unitas.
Yep. Low profile, no helmet decals.
On 1st and 10. Robbins. Rhinos for a couple, and there's a flag.
Holding. Offense number 74. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Adonis Boone, the left tackle. He's the one who took over from Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, they're excited. They're excited about both of these tackles. Boone, 74, 56, Renato Brown. Boone's a junior. Renato's just a redshirt freshman. You know, and we're seeing, you mentioned some of the depth issues, some of the injuries, the opt-outs. You know, a guy like Aiden Robbins, redshirt freshman. A guy like Jalen Mitchell, who we saw a lot of tonight. It's an exciting player, redshirt freshman. Son Hall still has another 2 years of eligibility, so plenty of production will be back despite the loss of Javian Hawkins.
It's going to be a fun home stretch in the ACC. Everybody thinks Notre Dame and Clemson gearing up for a rematch in the ACC championship game, but Notre Dame still has to play North Carolina. Not much for Robbins. Tonight's hardest working player, brought to you by the Duluth Trading Company. Malik Cunningham had to work for it tonight.
Had to work for it, and he overcame some early miscues and then got hot and then reverted back to some of those poor decisions, but then ended up making some plays, particularly downfield. He was not overly accurate downfield in the first half. Had the touchdown to Tutu Atwell. You saw the big completion right there to Des Fitzpatrick on the back shoulder throw. Completed the evening nicely, but still far too many errors. And again, with the remaining teams on the schedule, Louisville more than capable of winning, but not if they give the ball to the other team.
Conley's got Josh Johnson. One thing we have not seen a lot from Louisville tonight, they haven't thrown much to their backs, and that's an area where you really do miss a Hawkins.
Oh yeah, because he changes things not only from a backfield alignment, but when you motion him out of the backfield, because now he's a legitimate Eric Metcalf type of scat back slot receiver with running back open field skills. So, you know, again, we showed the explosive plays that you're missing earlier in the first half, not having a Javian Hawkins. Very difficult to replace that.
1:45 to go. A big weekend of college football on tap tomorrow. Game day in Norman. Oklahoma State tries for a Norman conquest. The Sooners look to make it 5 wins in a row. You've got the top offense in the Big 12 in Oklahoma, the top defense in Oklahoma State. We get a sack from Syracuse. Ochukwu.
30-second timeout. Syracuse, first of this half.
Indiana, Ohio State on tap tomorrow. Big game in the Big Ten. Essentially a semifinal game.
Potentially, yes.
Wisconsin and Northwestern. This could decide the Big Ten West.
Well, and listen, you've got 2 quarterbacks playing really good football. Peyton Ramsey, the Indiana transfer at Northwestern, but then Graham Mertz, for me, he is the most dynamic player at quarterback Wisconsin's had outside of Russell Wilson.
And then Oklahoma State, Oklahoma in the nightcap. Oklahoma started 0-2 in the Big 12. They've fallen off the national radar. But if Oklahoma wins out and Kansas State loses just once, I know, by the way, K-State has to play Iowa State tomorrow. Yeah. If that happens, the Sooners are in the Big 12 title game. Oklahoma State is the lone one-loss team in that conference. Any shot for the Big 12 if Oak State runs the table to get a playoff team?
It's doubtful. And I think a lot of the reason why it's doubtful is the perception is not good for them right now. And I think that carries weight.
53-yard attempt for Turner. This would be a career long.
And to add to that, especially if Clemson avenges the loss to Notre Dame.
False start. Offense, number 45. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
So that'll back Louisville up, and let's see if they punt. And it appears they will. Well, you put up your top 4 and what you think the playoff rankings will look like, and you had 2 teams from the ACC. Notre Dame counts this year. If Clemson avenges the loss to Notre Dame and the Irish don't lose another game, do you see those 2 being in the Final Four?
Well, what's going to be interesting is the X factor in that conversation is Texas A&M. Because again, they've had postponements. All right, are they going to? They've got to play their games because they're playing really good football. And let's just project forward and say that
timeout, Syracuse. 30-second timeout.
Syracuse calls a timeout
of this half.
Let's see what the numbers tell us. Yeah. Best chance to make the college football playoff according to ESPN's Football Power Index. Alabama, Ohio State, Wisconsin. Does that surprise you at 3?
A little bit. I mean, they've already had 2 games canceled. All right, so they're behind it, and it's interesting because that number to the far left with Alabama, tells you an awful lot of what they think about Florida in the SEC championship game.
Do you think Florida, we know they can score.
Yeah.
Can they stop Alabama? They haven't really shown they can play great defense.
I don't think anybody can stop Alabama. I don't think anybody in college football has the offensive personnel that the Crimson Tide has. Not Ohio State, not Clemson, nobody. Their offensive personnel is on a different level.
Fair catch is made inside the 15 by Johnson. I look at a Notre Dame. Big difference the last couple of weeks. Ian Book has really improved his play. I thought he was dynamite down the stretch against Clemson, then carried it over the following weeks.
Oh, and it's been as much, if not more, about his feet as opposed to his arm. It's the mobility, it's the extending and creating plays and then making wise decisions when on the move. That's been huge.
New quarterback for Syracuse, making his orange debut, the true freshman Dylan Markowitz. And he'll hand it off. First carry of the game for Cooper Lutz. Converted wide receiver. Markowitz from Texas, 3-star recruit. Syracuse's offensive coordinator, Sterling Gilbert, was good friends with his high school coach, and he ran the same offense in high school that Syracuse does here at the college level.
Well, see, Syracuse needs to hit on a guy like this. You need to, because the jury's still out if Jacobian Morgan is a long-term answer. I think we saw that tonight. I know he's young, but if you're gonna have a chance to get back on track in your Syracuse, you can't do it without hitting on a quarterback. And maybe this young man could potentially be the answer, and maybe they go with him the rest of the way.
Orange looking at 1-8. Louisville will get back in the win column. They'll go to 3-6, 2-6 in conference with games against Wake Forest and Boston College. This was Syracuse's last best chance to win a game, and they're looking at a 1-10 season, which would be the worst season they've had since 2005. That was a Greg Robinson year when they went 1-10. Lutz. And that is the first third down conversion. It comes in the final seconds of the game. Syracuse 1 of 10 on third downs as the final horn sounds. Louisville had some turnovers, cleaned it up a little in the second half. Their defense, the reinforcements came. They shut out the Orange, and Louisville snaps a 2-game losing streak. Sports Center, John Anderson and Michael Eaves. Fellas.
Of 2019 when he was a unanimous All-American.